I also would like to thank you, Dane, for explaining earlier this evening what happened this week in this country, because I traveled from Oslo yesterday and I arrived very safe, very late in the evening in Savannah. And I thought ocean exchange, that's on everyone's lips in Savannah these days because it's so important. It's growing every year. It's more exciting to go here every year. It's my third time. And I'm sorry, Millie, but there was another event going on at the same time. I think it took some focus away. But I'm very pleased that the real important voting this week is going to happen Friday afternoon, not Tuesday this week. As I mentioned, I come from Scandinavia. We are a Scandinavian company, but we are truly global. I would like to give you some idea of what we're doing and what kind of challenges we see in this industry these days. So first of all, our job is to move goods on sea and on land and to make this efficient and sustainable. We have wonderful ships. They look like shoe boxes, and they are beautiful in the way that they do their work extremely efficient. And we do handle not only cars. Many people think ro-ro vessels operate cars. We can take, for instance, trams and trains, locomotives, all kinds of goods that you can put on wheels we can run on board, or anything on caterpillars. We also do land transportation, and we have big terminals all over the world handling all these goods in and out of ships and into the inland distribution. And also on top of that, we do some mechanical works on various products for car manufacturers and other OEMs in what we call technical processing centers. So this is the kind of operation we do. And we are fortunate to be absolutely global. In fact, we have terminals and processing centers all over the world, and we have a network of ships going in all directions frequently. We go to Savannah every week with 2 vessels, I think, in average. Unfortunately, this week we will not see one of our ships going up the river while we're here. We did last year and the year before. So on this map, you will see some arrows around. The funny thing is, to my mind, is I'm working out of Oslo, and our ships never call Norway. We never see a Wilhelmsen ship in Norway anymore. It's more or less 20 years since last we operated in Norway. But that's the global presence. Some numbers of what this group is about. So we have some 7,000 people on land. We operate in 50 different countries. And if you look at the land side of the operation, we have 46 vehicle processing centers, we have 13 terminals, and so forth. We have 2.8 million units. When you call units, that could be a car, it could be an excavator, a bulldozer, anything that we can handle. We move 2.8 million of those over land, and we process some 6 million units in the terminals that we operate. On the sea side, we have in the total group some 135 vessels in operation. There are 6,000 people of different nations working on the ships, and we move 7.4 million units overseas every year. And if you look at the total distance, this is about 3 million miles, nautical miles, or 5.5 million kilometers. That means we sail in average some 150 times around the globe every year. So this creates, of course, a lot of work, some profit, hopefully, but we also have some footprints. We have some challenges, and we admit that. So there's a guy who has been thinking about problems and how you handle them. And I think we have spent some 15 years starting to define the problems, the environmental footprints of our operations. I think we were very early to really go into the depth of what's really the footprint of the shipping industry and the logistics. And we found it's not easy. So we have not spent 1 hour, we've spent 15 years and we're still not there. We haven't found the solutions. We found small parts moving on, but the giant leap is hard to get. So what are the challenges? If you look at the ships, the 135 vessels, we burn every year 1.6 million tons of fuel. And the fuel bill, with today's low prices in the energy market, is $500 million US. The good thing about the fuel price is, of course, that this is the bottom line impact of the company. So if we save 1% of fuel, we save $5 million on the bottom line in the company. So it works together, the environment and the economics. And we are, of course, very fuel efficient, and we work on fuel efficiency all the time. But it's not only about fuel, it's about emissions. And our fleet will emit 5 million tons of CO2 every year. And what is 5 million tons of CO2? Doesn't tell you much. But Norway as a country, it's small. But we have a huge oil and gas industry. We have a lot of chemical industry and smelters, and we have a lot of transport and so forth. The total emissions of Norway as a nation is 52 million tons of CO2. So our fleet is actually equal to 10% of Norway as a nation, and what they emit. So we understand that the emissions from our shipping operations are significant, and we want to do things about them. Just a few words about the sulfur oxides, the SOx. That's the acid rain you get from sulfur in the fuel. 2 weeks ago, the IMO, the International Maritime Organization, made a very bold and very good and very right decision to make a cap on sulfur emissions from the shipping industry. That cap is going to cost the shipping industry billions of dollars each year, because we have to shift to lighter fuels that cost much more. And that price of fuel has to be transferred to the customers, and in the end, you as consumers. But I think all in this audience, at least, will agree that you can pay a bit more for a car or a tractor or an excavator or a train ticket if you can cut this kind of emission. On the land side, the terminals are not that significant, but they are local. And local problems can be different from the global that we have in the shipping. And we are very much working on energy efficiency and the source of and the consumption of energy in the terminals and inside the buildings. And of course, water was mentioned. It's not Coca-Cola, but we use a lot of water inside, and we treat the water and reuse it in different plants. We're working on that all the time. Waste handling, we have a lot of waste that has to be recycled. And one point in the terminal is a cold start of units. When you ship the units into the terminal, either by rail or by trucks or by the ship, it has to be cold started every time. And you may shift the units in the terminals, and every time it's a coal engine starting up, and coal engines are no good. So this is also something we have to work on to improve. And of course, we have the emissions in general from trucks and rail, which is a part of our operations. So we have a lot of these problems, and we know them, and we work with them, but we're still going on to try to find solutions. I think there are two revolutions going on in this industry, in all industries right now. There's a green revolution and there's a digital revolution. Sometimes they go against each other. When we work now with the digital solutions in our industry, we link it with the green. And when they work together, we have a chance to make the leaps. So we see huge opportunities in efficiency, but also in utilizing new types of materials and new types of operations through the digital world that is coming. And I see that some of the solutions that are being presented tomorrow and on Friday they have this connection, which is quite interesting. So what's Orcelle got to do with this? Orcelle is our vision. She's not the answer. She's the problem. We had to tell the world that we have a problem. So we created the Orcelle. That's a ship that was presented in 2005. So it's old, but the problems are still unsolved. So our vision is zero emission by 2040, not by the entire operations, but that we should be able to create ships that have no emissions by 2040. That means no emissions to air, no emissions to sea, no ballast water. It's actually, ballast water is maybe something you don't know about too much, but it's the way we ballast the ships when they are a little cargo on board. We need to ballast it down to get it seaworthy, to have the propeller and the rudder in operation. And it's fun to walk in savannah and see the roads there with the stones that you have in the roads in savannah. Take a look at them. They are ballast from the tall ships coming into savannah to take on board cotton and stuff 150 years back. They had to take out the ballast, and that was those stones that created the roads in savannah. Today we use water, and we discharge the water which has been taken somewhere else in the world. So we actually transport species around the globe with the ballast water, and that's not so good for the nature. And of course, we don't want oil spill to the sea when we have damage to the ship. On top of this, if we shall be sustainable, we need to have an efficient cargo carrier. So the job is not easy. I know there are some people in this country who have lately talked about some quick fixes in big words, but in this industry there are no quick fixes. So what's Ocean Exchange got to do with this? Simply, we need your help. And we think this kind of competition and this kind of audience and the networking and everything's going around Ocean Exchange is actually a very good platform, a very good place to be for us to discuss these problems and to find solutions. And our Orcelle Award goes to the solution that makes shipping and logistics more sustainable by advancing zero-emission marine and/or land-based technologies that are commercially viable. That's what you're going to vote for on Friday. And I hope that you will find solutions that can help us out. And I can only wish you, the delegates, and the organizer, and not least the finalists in all these competitions, good luck to you all. Thank you.